you're thinking you know about finance because you're a CPA, but you don't know about finance in this context of how to create compensation and growth strategies in order to find, attract, align, develop, and retain great people. This is the golden moment. I would do business with you right now. Hey, everybody, it's Brandon Dawson, and welcome to another show of 10X Owners Live. I'm sitting here with my special guest. Many of you were voting on Grant Cardone, so he feels a little let down at this point. Sean Conrad. And I wanted to introduce you guys to Sean. Sean is the newest member of the Cardone Ventures executive team. And Sean, give me a little bit about your background.
Absolutely, Brandon. First, great to be with you. Great to see all of you here with us tonight on 10X Owners Live. I've had the pleasure of working and getting to know Brandon and the entire Cardone Ventures team for the last 4 or 5 years. I've spent 20 years plus working in the insurance and financial services space and really working with business owners. That's my passion. Try to figure out how to make them protected in what they do in their business day in and day out, help them achieve their goals. And when I discovered what you were doing, Brandon, and your partnership with Grant, I was just so impressed by how much passion you have for this community, how you want to support them. And it's just a privilege to be here with you.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. And so Sean is heading up our professional services area of the organization. So we're going to be talking a lot about our verticals that we're interested in just like we are with health and we are with HVAC and some of these other verticals. We're also looking at doing a vertical roll-up in property casualty life insurance, in wealth management, in the CPAs that have been in our ecosystem. Many of you might be here tonight. I've been talking about this. And also we're rolling out our 10X Business Advisor program. It'll be a national, actually global franchise program where people who are in the advisory business can become a Grant Cardone business advisor, which will be us licensing and working closely and giving our tools and resources to people in their micro markets to help them bring businesses to the ecosystem and then help them grow and scale and create massive value inside and complementing what it is they're doing as a connected business. So very excited. You're going to hear a lot about this. In fact, I'll throw a slide up. If you're one of those, we'll give you a list of the people that we're looking at working with. We've already got hundreds of them in the ecosystem that I've been talking to quietly about this, but now we officially have somebody that's going to be running it. So yes. Sean will be available to answer all the questions and have deep rooted conversations as we roll out the information. But tonight we are talking about finance. And so, Sean, how important is it? Sean, look, one of the businesses you worked in, you guys underwrote the insurance for business owners who took on private equity.
That's right.
To make sure that they got paid or there wasn't any litigation if they didn't. And so how important is financial data, Sean, when it comes to selling your business?
It is everything. And whether you're selling a business or buying a business for that matter, it's everything. And so Brandon's going to talk a little bit about finance. And I love that term. You know, all of you on this call today, whatever your role is in the business, you need to have some awareness of this. You really need to spend time with Jeff Jessen and Financial Essentials because we'll teach you this if you don't know finance the way that Cardone Ventures teaches it. But it's everything in selling a business, buying a business, evaluating a business in due diligence. So quality of earnings, there's a workshop Brandon's going to talk, worksheet Brandon's going to talk about tonight. And it's something that everybody needs to know. We will demystify this for you. If this is something you haven't been exposed to before, learn it.
In fact, when you guys are looking at underwriting policies and transactions, and what do you think your average kind of private equity transaction that you guys would insure? How big do you think those deals were?
They ranged in size, but a lot of them were businesses that did on the low end, 20 million up to several billion.
Yeah. So how important was the quality of earnings audit done by the private equity group for accuracy of how the business's books and records, contracts and things were in order? How important was that data for you to be able to even write a policy.
It's very important. And remember, as business owners, you want to make sure you understand and have a level playing field. If you're in that situation where you're thinking about partnering or selling to a private equity firm, what are they looking for with quality of earnings, Brandon? They're looking for any anomalies, any one-time non-recurring revenue that they can in turn discount. So those are the kinds of things you'll learn from going through this worksheet. And again, taking on finance the way that Carter Ventures.
Yeah. And really what this worksheet is it's guys, do you have the link for the worksheet or did you already? Okay, good. So look, really what this is it's very high level. Shoot that QR code. You can look at this worksheet. What I'm going to tell you is this is like a very, very high activity. We find that about 75% of the business owners that we work with, they don't have their basic accounting requirements in place, let alone a true quality of earnings audit. I went through this when I sold the business. Actually, I went through it twice, and both times it took almost 90 days. And I had 14 people camped out in my conference room from one of the big 3 accounting firms, and they're not very friendly.
They're not.
It's like it's like having the IRS in your office, I guess. I fortunately have not had to do that, but they're very invasive. They're trying to find something that you've done wrong so they can renegotiate you, or they're trying to validate what you told them is entirely true. So there's not a lot of wiggle room, but we gave you a worksheet. What we wanted you to do now, the whole idea in this worksheet is if you go through here and you fill this out, your 10-year vision, your revenue, how much you want to be earning, how much you're paying yourself, and then what's your business earning, and how do you value that? And then your 1 year goal, and breaking it down by revenue, your profit margin, your owner's earnings, your number of employees, your revenue per employee, your cash reserves, your debt on the balance sheet. Look, there's only 10 boxes on this worksheet. And do you have me on the main screen? All I see is there's only 10 boxes on this worksheet. And most people are going to struggle filling in the 10 boxes. So you can imagine in a quality of earning audit when the punch list is probably 300 to 400 things long that they actually have to test. Yeah. You can see how complicated that is. And there's a reason for that, because the bigger your business gets, the more complicated it gets, the more accurate you need to be. Now, if you're a small business, maybe you just need to know what your annual target is, your quarterly run rate, your monthly traction, your weekly traction towards your monthly, your daily activities. Like when you come to our Finance Essentials workshop, we're going to take all this complication in trying to figure out how to put all this together for your business. And we're going to make it so easy for you. I promise you, because I'm not smart enough to understand how to do complicated accounting, but I did learn there's an algorithm to manage your business by. And if you just perfect that, you can hire the complicated stuff out. So we call it finance because I can promise you in business, the most fun time in business is when you're making money and you get accounted. The times that are not fun is when you're going to the bank or trying to borrow money because you ain't making it. And so our number one objective here is to teach you how to grow and scale and create massive value in your business, even if you're not intending on selling it, so that you can pay yourself a lot of money and have extra resources to pay your team members and invest in the things that are important to your business. So this worksheet, you should spend a little bit of time on this worksheet, see how much you can fit into it. And if right away you're like, you know what, I'm serious about making money in my business, I'm serious about building a valuable business system, I want to have something that I can leave as a legacy to my kids, or I want to have generational wealth through my business, or I just want to make sure I don't find myself backwards in the business, this workshop has been built for you. And if you want to learn how to make money so you can buy other businesses or give incentives, equity incentives to employees, I mean, we have that kind of deal.
We do.
So you got to know how I get a guy that, how big was the company when you started your last company?
Well, it went from 0 to $1.7 billion in revenue in 15 years. And before that, worked for something that was of the same size.
Yeah.
So
So here's a career guy who's been an executive in basically startups, taking them to multi-billions of dollars. And so how important to you, if you're going to do a career pivot, how important is it for you to understand, first of all, what's the big picture? What's the opportunity? Secondly, that the business is driving to. And if the business isn't driving to a multi-billion dollar business, would you even be interested in participating with it?
I wouldn't.
Yeah. See, you want to know how I get people like Sean? I've been recruiting. How long have I been recruiting? 3 years.
We've known each other for a while.
Jesus, I feel like you're. I feel like I've been trying to date you now for 3 years to get married, and finally got it locked up. So look, and the other thing is, I'm going to tell you, people want to know how I get good people. Sometimes the recruiting cycle to getting good people takes a long time. You got to be patient. You got to be constantly setting it up. Every time Sean sat down and thought he was going to sell me something, I was selling him on why he wants to come work with me. So remember, sell or be sold. You can actually do the same thing at the same time. You can be sold while you're selling, and you can sell while you're being sold. So don't always think like you're not doing one or the other, because I believe no matter what, you're always doing both. And so I'm going to open it up for questions here in a few minutes if you want to ask Sean. But Sean's not an insurance guy. The other thing I want to point out is Sean was working with the 8% of the top private equity groups in the globe, working alongside of them in their transactions to find areas that they could insure, underwrite, protect. And so he's been working with the top private equity guys. He also has been working with the top family offices, because of course a family office has someone who's very wealthy.
Absolutely.
And Sean's job was to make sure they protected everything they bought, everything they had, protected themselves. And he worked with whole teams, including some major, I can't say who they are because I don't know if there's equivalent to HIPAA in the insurance industry, but I'm sure people don't want everyone to know who works on their shit.
Right.
But Sean works with many of the big athletes, movie stars, things like this, big cases. And so the reason I brought him on is because we're rolling out our professional services, finance, accounting, CPA, potentially legal, insurance, wealth advisors, business brokers.
And if we have any of those folks on the call today, we believe that those that are really great in those fields that Brandon just mentioned, the insurance professionals, CPAs, wealth advisors, you're at the crux of that very valuable client relationship, whom you all probably talk about yourselves as being that trusted advisor. We think you can be a 10x business advisor if you are interested in this platform that we're creating. We also believe that because you're in that position of trust with your client, they are asking you, the client is, for advice on other matters outside of your core competency. So if you're a great wealth advisor, that if you're that business owner, they're talking to you about the plan to sell or transition that business at some point. They're asking for referrals to a good legal team. So we think it's an opportunity for you to take your existing practice, which you're great at, and take advantage of this adjacent space opportunity where you can just create a whole new product offering for that business owner, that client, where you are in a position of high trust.
100%. In fact, you have multiple choices with us. If you just want to be part of a multi-billion-dollar insurance company that we're going to create, our 10X insurance company. If you want to be part of our 10X CPA group, if you want to be part of our 10X wealth advisory group, or if you want to do that and be a business advisor, maybe you're a business broker in your hometown. Maybe you're in the insurance, or maybe you're in the real estate space, commercial real estate space. And you're like, hey, I've got all these clients that are trying to buy businesses or sell businesses. I want to be able to add more support them. I want to be able to help them. I want to be able to put proper planning in place. We are building this program specifically for people who want to build a connected business to their existing business where they're already working with business owners so they can add significantly more value to them. I'm so excited about this program.
I am too. And Brandon, we talk a lot about collaboration is the new currency. You hear Brandon talk about that. You hear Grant talk about that. So for all of those professionals that are looking to expand your services with your client base, the other challenge is you're busy in your day-to-day activities where you're great. you don't have the bandwidth to create all of the platforms and programs that exist already today at Cardone Ventures. And we're going to
100%.
keep creating new content and new value adds for that relationship base. So if you're interested in this, make sure you put your information in the chat, click that QR code, make sure
Yeah.
that
So,
we
hey,
have a
put
way to
up the
contact you.
Q. If you're a professional services individual right now, click on this QR code. CPAs, bookkeeping firms, wealth, family offices. If you're a family office, employee benefit brokers and consultants, property casualty brokers and consultants, life insurance business owners. If you're, or maybe you're a wealthy business owner and you're trying to figure out how to add more value in your market for other business owners.
And if you're a business owner on this call tonight and you know and work with someone who's great in these spaces, think, gosh, my insurance professional is terrific, or my CPA is terrific. Maybe this is an opportunity for you to introduce them to a new business opportunity where they can continue working with you and augment their services.
Yeah, maybe you partner with them.
That's right.
Look, collaboration's the new currency. I mean, we've got business owners that are partnering with other business owners. We did that with Oliver. So we partnered with Oliver Fernandez. And then Oliver and Grant and I acquired his buddy that was working at a flooring company that was $5 million in revenue. We acquired that flooring company, and then it's going to be 3 times, 4 times bigger. It had been doing 5 million for 10 years, and we'll do $20 million this year. So, collaboration is the new currency, and working with people and helping them is critically important. Which, let's see, Justin Brock, which would be part of the financial services segment? Yeah, I'm Justin. I'm not following you there because I missed it on the chat, but
we have a lot of comments here in the chat. This is terrific.
Yeah. Can you scroll back to Justin's comments so I can see it? Justin Brock right there. Brandon, I have platformed and we are the authority in the health, insurance, and Medicare space. Good. Well, here's the deal. You shoot that QR code. Anybody that shot that QR code, put that QR code back up. Anybody in the professional services space that's on this list, look how serious my business partner is. You can't go wrong if you got Grant Cardone wearing a red tie for you, looking so committed. So here's the deal. You shoot that QR code, and that's going to set you up with a conversation with Sean for him to interview you, get to know you. I've been telling everybody this is coming. Well, it's here. And you shoot that QR code, and we'll have a conversation about where you're at in your life cycle, what you've done with us, what you're interested in doing with us. And Sean's going to start curating those conversations because we got a lot of them happening. I can promise you. I am so excited about this program. Anyhow, let's get back on with the show. The show must go on. So let's see, what kind of questions do we have here? Do we have any questions? I can't actually see because the monitor is so slow or so small. 10X Business Advisor will be live in about 6 weeks. We're filing our franchise paperwork. I'm not really even supposed to be talking about it, but I'll say Sean talked about it. We're filing our paperwork. I think it's in about 6 weeks, but we can start having conversations about what we're doing. And then when we get the financial disclosure document, the FDD done, we can actually circulate the details of how it works. So if you're in the insurance space and we want to roll up, you want to be part of a national roll up we're doing, maybe even a global with all the stuff we're working on. We got so much cool stuff. You know what I love about being Grant Cardone's business partner is I get to find people like you, and we get to talk about what products or services or products and services or businesses can we create to do a better job for business owners. And you and I, over the last couple of years, have penciled out several different things. And we have so many cool things from healthcare to insurances, to investment stuff, activity. It's just really super exciting to see. And then obviously taking thousands of independent insurance, property casualty, life insurance agents or small agencies, right? Mm-hmm. And bringing them under one umbrella and being able to grow the most powerful micro market, highly supported independent business owners so they can dominate their micro market and create massive wealth through their business is something I love to do.
Something I love to do
And
too.
it's something you aligned with.
Exactly. And look, I think everybody is figuring out, and Grant talks about this a lot, that the big guys, if you really study the big companies, everybody's collaborating. No one is trying to do it by themselves. You just can't and get big. So this is our opportunity to really extend a new offering to this 10X community. And if anybody is in this space, we want to talk to you, hit the QR code, make sure that we have a conversation, because we're going to build something spectacular.
Spectacular. Sean got tied up in a massive deal he had to finish. It was supposed to get done at the end of the year.
Yes.
And it got done a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
So it took, that's the other thing I'm going to tell you. Nothing ever works on your timeline. So when you guys get frustrated, I had some 10X health people that took that methylation swab and we dropped 3,000 in 1 week. And obviously I'm the CEO of 10X Health. And I had a couple people reach out. Hey, we're still waiting for our results. It's like, yes, you are. And they're going to change your life. And we're really sorry. They're delayed by 3 weeks, 4 weeks, but we saturated the lab and, they couldn't keep up with us. The good news is we know who you are. We got you in line and we're coming for you. And I know for a fact that we've been pinging a lot of people, calling a lot of people, trying to set appointments, and some people aren't calling us back, which just delays the process that much more. But look, that's just business. Look, I got my results. David said, look, that's business, man. It's worth the wait, because at the end of the day, it's going to be life changing. And so, it's like great things take time. That's all I'm going to tell you guys. Great things take time.
They do take time. And, just back to your 10X Health example for a second, Brandon talks a lot about leadership, and everybody on this call knows and loves Brandon, but that was a great example of you demonstrating that in the moment when things weren't so fun necessarily, hearing people are waiting on things. The way you handled that was just a great example to this entire community of how to lead, first me leadership, and lead the team.
Yeah. And I mean, look, when you go in business, there's some things that are certain. Okay. It is certain that people are going to let you down. It is certain that you're going to let people down. Didn't want to hear that one, did you? It is certain shit's not going to work when you think it is. It is certain that mistakes are going to get made. It is certain that you're going to be ticked off at people and they're going to be ticked off at you. It is certain that customers are going to have a bad experience at some point in time. It is certain that all that and more is going to happen, because that is the life cycle of building a business. You can't go from dead stop to remarkable without having stuff happens, because businesses are built through trial and error, practicing and fixing. Now you can eliminate, you can mitigate. You can't eliminate, but you can mitigate some of those things. And anybody that sees that is this guy, because they write the insurance. So how many people in California, Sean, that thought they were paying for fire insurance, that somebody in the application process just forgot to check one tiny box, like a little teeny box. Everything else is perfect, but one box was forgotten to be checked. How much did that cost people in California when the fires ripped through there?
It's amazing. And California is a real problem. The other thing that we see, Brandon, it's beyond just that example, is someone working with a family and assets are held in trust and forgetting to name the trust on insurance policies. There is technically no coverage in those situations. Imagine going to a family thinking they'd done everything right and somebody wasn't paying attention to the titling of those assets and making sure those transferred to an insurance policy.
It's scary. Yeah.
Those things matter. So your point about details and being really diligent around that is important.
This is why we're rolling these programs out, because, lots of things happen. Igor says he can't hear. Give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear me. Yeah. So Igor, you got to fix your stuff. Sorry. So look, Igor, I came out of the hearing aid space. Maybe you need to wire me $6,000 and I'll get you squared away. So here's the deal. We're going to open this up for some live questions. I see some hands raised, Dimitri, but I can't see who they are. So you just go ahead and call on them. Go ahead. DJ Newman. Let's go, DJ.
Hey, Brandon. Nice to see you again.
You too, man.
I got a question for you regarding this vertical thing that you're doing. Does this include home services such as cleaning and restoration? When you say insurance, that's what's going through my mind. But I don't know.
Well, we have quite a few of those businesses that we manage. We have Jackie Schaefer. We have a whole bunch of unbelievable
Jackie,
success
she's
stories.
right in my backyard.
Yeah, there you go. So look, if you're in that space, you should be platforming with us because Sean, we still have, because of what we're doing with the company he came from, we have helped people get priority treatment. We don't want to give our cat away.
Right. And DJ, you're in a great business. And I assume a lot of your flow comes from insurance related work based on listening to you.
Yeah. As you're familiar with insurance, I actually sit on the one of the boards for the IICRC TriMaster certified. So I'm one of the authorities for that space. And
Fantastic.
so I love
that's awesome. He's one of the authorities for how you get paid.
Then that's
if you guys are dependent on any insurance business, you guys want to come to our events and get involved. Trust me.
Yeah.
Trust me. I can't love it, DJ. Let's go. Are you platforming, DJ?
As I talked to you at 360, I'm working on getting that set up, and I'm going to be attending financials. Unfortunately, I have to go virtually this time, but I will be there. I just set that up with your team just before this call.
Awesome, man. Good. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, I love these questions, man. Great question. See you, buddy.
Thanks.
All right, who's next, Dimitri? Philip Chan.
Hey, Brandon. What's going on, man?
How you doing, buddy?
I'm fantastic. Listen, was at the interactive boot camp over the weekend, and I would love to get a little bit of deep dive on the difference between scale versus scaling. You know, I was referencing my notes. You always talk about there's this 80% and there's a 20%, but then they get flipped, right? So just would love to hear, like, if you could provide a concrete example.
Question. So scale's maximizing what you have. Breakpoint 1 is 100,000 to 3 million. Let's say you get up and you're bumping up against 3 million and you're just itching to go open another location or hire 12 more employees or 12 more sales reps. If you're not running, if you don't know how much revenue per employee you can run. So let's say you get there, you're at 250,000 revenue per employee and you get to the top of breakpoint 1. Breakpoint 2 is who you do it with. Breakpoint 1 is the thing that you're doing actually works and you'll accumulate a few people with you. Breakpoint 2 requires you to add more people. So scale is pausing at 3 million with the current team in the current location and seeing if you can't get that 3 million to 4 million or 4.5. So you're increasing revenue per head before you bump into breakpoint 2, because you want to know, like, how much revenue per head can I get? Because typically what happens is, say you have 10 people at the top of breakpoint 1, and then you go to breakpoint 2 and you get up to, and so you're running at 10 people, you're running $300,000 of revenue per employee. Then you go to breakpoint 2, you get to 8 million in revenue, and all of a sudden your revenue per employee declines to 250. Then you go to 15 million, top of breakpoint 3. Now your revenue per employee declines to 175. That means you're going to scaling, you're expanding, but you have not scaled and proven what works, because you're declining in value every time you chase a revenue versus increasing in value. So what you want is the inverse of that. If you can get it at 10 employees doing $300,000 per employee, you want to maintain or increase that as you add employees. That means you're staying steady with where you know you can get to. But optimally, you'd want to add more value with those new employees so that you can go to 330 and 350 and 380 of revenue per employee by bringing higher producing people in and learning to get rid of the low producing people. So scale is defined by maximizing what you have. Scaling is the rapid expansion of what you can prove works. And that you only move to that and do it when you can prove it works and you're confident in it. Because most people just go start, grow, break.
We spent some time today looking. I think the franchise world is an interesting place to look for an example of this. They work really hard on getting scale perfect.
Yep.
And then
we flew to Michigan and spent the day with a $200 million business that we're looking at partnering with. And we have $1 billion opportunity in the next 36 to 60 months in that particular space with that group. And so what we focused on all day today, Sean and I and Natalie, was going through their existing 150 locations to understand the speed in which you can start something, get it to the top 10% of their best locations, and avoid the 90% that are underperforming the top 10%. So scale would be, before we go from 150 locations to 500, we get the 150 all operating in that top 20%. That's that 20% you're talking about.
Okay.
And then you know you got something that you can move faster on when you open the next 100.
Right. It's basically trying to avoid expanding too fast and making sure that you have a foundation to actually blow up with, right?
Yeah, you're making sure that while you're expanding, you're not going through a devaluation curve. You're going through an increased valuation curve.
Awesome. Love it, man.
Awesome.
Appreciate you.
Great question, buddy.
We talk about goals setting. By the way, I got my calendar filled up. I'll be attending a lot of 10X events in person. So keep an eye out.
Good job, dude.
Nice.
Look forward to it. Awesome. All right. Who's next here? Justin Brock. How are you, man?
Doing well, Brandon. Thank you for taking the time. We were at 360. I'm actually down here at 10X stages right now. Had a great first day with Peter and Pat and those guys. But, revenue per employee, huge takeaway from 10X 360. One of the reasons we platformed is trying to put guardrails up to figure out how to scale. We'll hit 8.5 million if we don't do anything this year in revenue. Revenue per employee is around 314,000. Other than revenue per employee, and you may have already answered this when you said, hire your better performers and try to weed out your lower performers. But other than revenue per employee, I have a problem with feeling like I'm overloading certain employees. We're at 27 employees right now. 2 years ago, we were at like 6. So we're growing pretty fast. But I don't have anybody on my team that I think is trash. I've fired a lot of bad ones, that were toxic. I don't have anybody that I think is just really bad, but of course, some of them seem eminently more capable of taking on just a lot of work and a lot of difficult work with no issue.
Yeah. So I just want to qualify with people, it's not, it's clear when someone is a drainer in the organization. Like, if someone's got like a bad attitude, they're always like, oh, it's too hard. This sucks. It's not fair. I should get more. I should do less. Like, that's so obvious. That isn't really, those people are easy to figure out. The harder part is when you have good people that you like in your organization. They're actually showing up and going through the motion. They're just not as effective as other people. So,
Right.
So the reason you create a magnitude of impact scale from remarkable, excellent, great, good, average, and poor is it's actually your job as a business owner in the scale, maximizing what you can prove works, to find your top performers. If you took your 27 people and you put them through that scale, you're going to have your top 10, your next 10%, your next 10%. You're going to have your average, and you have a few at the poor level. And they're not poor because they have a bad attitude. They're poor just because they're either underperforming, they're slow to understand how to do it, they're not as committed, they're not training as hard. Like, there's certain things that you look for. Your job is, if 320,000 was your revenue per employee today, and you were able to get them to 400, your job would be to maintain your company as at least 400, and then try to drive it to 450 and then to 500. But you would have those reference points. So what you need to create with your employees are their reference points. So if I said, hey, Sean, it's your first week on the job, I'm going to train you up. Your job's to reach out to 150 people a day. It's to set 30 appointments a day. It's to get 3 of the 30, 10% to say, yes, they want to move forward with us. And then the lifetime value of one of those customers could be $100. So your job is to do those 4 things, and we're going to track it. Right. And then Sean's on there and he's making 50 calls and he's only getting 6 people. But then the other person that Sean's sitting next to is somehow making 130 calls and getting 20 people and converting $500 a day. Well, it isn't that Sean's a bad guy. It's just that this person's overperforming Sean. It's your job to find how people are doing that. And sometimes they're in different places. So you might have a person making more calls, setting more appointments, converting less, somebody making less calls, setting less appointments, converting more. So what you have to find is whatever that algorithm is in your business, and take the top 20% of the highest impact across the spectrum of everyone doing it, and establish that as the scale that people think you might do. Like Mike Ledoux, man, he's a master of every concept I've put out. This is an example of someone who really pays attention, lives it and breathes it every day. We're looking for businesses to buy in his marketplace because he gets this, right? So the idea here is curating the highest level of impact through the best activities that get the best result, that return the best reward. That isn't a person per se. It could be a series of people doing different things, but curated, they get one massive result. So your job is to find those elements and then train them backwards to everybody in your organization when you pick the 6 to 8 things that make that work. And then you work with your top 20%. So if you have 27, it'd be 5.5 people. So you count yourself as one, take 6, round it off. And you work with those 6 to really nail that in, and then work with them to develop underneath you. So everyone understands granular incremental improvement on what we can prove works is how we define scale. And then scaling is the rapid expansion of what we proved work by adding more people, doing more things. It's a process. And you're always going to have your bottom 30% performers, not because they're bad people, not because they don't want to do well, but something gets in their way. And sometimes who you think is a high performer today is not necessarily a high performer tomorrow. And you got to just pay attention and let the facts and the results speak for themselves, not the emotion of the relationship. So now what happens is you lose somebody who's been with you for a year, but they're kind of underperforming. When you go hire that next person, you have much higher expectations because you're comparing them to your top 20%. And now you're telling them, this is what I expect, and here's what we can do. And the belief starts at a different place than someone that was with you, and you're trying to grow them into that. And he's seen this with, I mean, how many insurance agencies did you work with in the last 10 years?
Well, a ton of insurance professionals, but then as an insurance professional, we were working with businesses of all types. And the single biggest challenge everyone's having right now, how to attract and align the best people. So businesses that understand these concepts and master them will have a huge advantage. And I believe that the talent pool out there wants this kind of structure. They want to come into a business where they know the owner has thought about this. They know how to set people up for success within the organization, align them with their personal, professional, financial goals, give them a future. Just my experience, Brandon, working with various businesses, there are so many that just have never been exposed to this before.
Yeah.
So this 10X community has such a huge advantage. I think that's going to matter, especially over the next 24 to 36 months.
And it starts with the financial. This is why the finance essentials is such an incredibly important. Like if I didn't have a business and I was just going to start a business, and I was like, what's the one thing that I would want to go understand? You know, marketing, if you don't know how to market yourself, nothing's going to work. But me personally, knowing what I know about business, I'd go to the Finance Essentials workshop and I'd first learn the algorithm of how to make money in order to build a business. And then I would find a thing that, because I would understand that profit is important, and I would find something that generated enough profit because I would know to ask the question to the people I'm looking at working with. And then I would be able to impact the profit by doing something at a high level of impact. And I would have awareness and understanding of how to measure that, so that then when I go market, I'm marketing to a stated objective or goal. And I think when you get that going in your business, things tend to grow a lot faster. And we talked about this with the guys today. They were like, hey, 10 years ago, when we opened a new location, getting to $1 million was a big deal.
Yeah.
And then we started hitting $1 million. And we're like, what could be better than $1 million? So they set 2 million as a target. Then they started hitting 2 million, and now their target's like 6 million because they've proven they can do it. And they do it by little incremental things like maybe a better pricing structure, maybe a VIP offer, maybe the program they sell where it's automatic. You pay for it every year and you get a certain number of visits and it becomes automatic. So they started creating programs and testing them and finding that they could drive values up per location by doing multiple different selling methodologies that they didn't actually think was possible, or technology wouldn't let them do it maybe 10 years ago.
Correct. What also struck me was they know their numbers. So we hit multiple locations today. They knew with certainty what that store was going to do. Getting back to finance essentials.
Finance essentials. So it's a great question. The reason stages is important, let me tie all this together for everybody, is if you don't learn to create your story and tell it in a way where it's compelling enough for people to care, not only will you not do a good job marketing, not only will you not be able to communicate in that granular moment when you could convert something to an opportunity, but you won't be able to hire good people. So like when I'm talking to him, I have a stages story. I'm building a $10 billion organization. I'm going to have a series of people, probably 20 or 30 people that make $10 million in net worth. And I'm going to have probably 5 to 10 people that could make upwards around 50 million to 100 million in net worth. And these are the qualities, the characteristics, the attributes, the competencies, and the deliverables, people that are going to be worth 10 million, 25 million, 50 million, or 100 million, or even $1 billion. This is what they're going to need to contribute. And then I can ask a question, Sean, where you're currently at, do you have clear visibility into making 25 million? And in his case, he says, yes. And I say, okay, great. What about 50 million? Well, that might be tougher. What about 75 or 100 million? No, not that I have clear line of sight. Mm-hmm. If I could show you how to make $100 million in your career in the next 10 million, would you want to see what that looked like? And one day he popped by my office and he's like, I can't get that question out of my mind. Show me how I can make $100 million working for you. And I busted it down on the whiteboard in 15 minutes. And Sean's like, well, you have that like the certainty in how we're going to get there. And I knew when I played that out, maybe it takes 6 months or a year, but I knew I had him hooked because no one else is telling Sean how to become worth 100 million in the next 10 years. He needed a clear picture. So sometimes what you guys need to do is just learn to paint a clear picture, and then people will be interested in how to perform bigger, better, and more impactfully to join you. And then you hire a higher caliber person and you bring them on the team, and then they do more than the people you actually thought were good. So does that make sense to you?
Perfect sense. Yeah.
Is that a good little dissertation, a little MBA on stages night when you're supposed to be doing your homework? You're going to get in trouble with the teacher tomorrow if you don't get your shit done.
You guys have such good emails. I'm sitting down here to do homework and reach out to people and try to get a stage so I can impress Pete. And then I get all these damn emails and I'm like, I can't miss this action.
Well, we love having you. Thanks for asking the question, and you're going to crush it at stages. It's such a remarkable program in the ability to develop the human capacity to communicate. And that is, if you can't do that, you're not going to really do anything else. I promise you. It's good to have you on here. All right, Dimitri, who's next? Karen, how are you, Karen?
Hey, Brendan. Hey, Sean. Thank you guys for being here and answer my question. So my question is, I run a CPA firm, and the problem I'm running into is employees, they come in and they want to learn it. They want to have their own business, or they try it. They say, this is not for me, like dealing with clients individually. So those are problems I'm running into. And then that's my question number one. What do I do? I feel like our business model is so easy to be copied. And question number two is the people who come in, and you guys are laughing. I don't know why. I'm sure you'll
well, we're smiling because it's exactly why we're building the business advisory program. I mean, you are a classic example, because here's the thing. In your line of work, you got to hire analytical people. And so what happens is they go to work, and especially in today's generation, they realize how much actual work it is to do the work, and then they don't enjoy it because they enjoy the socializing, they enjoy the knowledge, they might enjoy the consultative side of what you do, but they don't enjoy the preparatory side, if that's the right word. And so what happens is the people that come in and they're excited and they work with you for a while and they're like, this really isn't for me. You don't have anywhere to take them. So our business advisory program would be able to something they could evolve into in their career. And you could put it in front of them and say, hey, get to this level, learn to do the work product. This is why EY is so freaking big, because people can go from being accountants and auditors to running teams to going to the consultative side of the business, and so then the management. And so they can move up and do things they enjoy doing. So they're willing to put the granular work in to prove themselves out. But when you're a small firm, you don't have that upward mobility for people. And so it becomes difficult to retain them. Then the second problem you mentioned, which is people come, they think they can learn the business and then they can do it on their own. Well, it's true, they can. And no business can ever hold an employee hostage. So an alternative strategy to that is create such a big picture about where you're going, the quality of the people you're attracting, the type of services. Imagine here you are, CPA. Now you have consultative services. You can help businesses grow and scale. You can help them understand their financials. You can help manage off the financials. You can help them learn marketing and business operations and people development and the importance and significance of building a holistic business around the numbers. And for people who like go to work for you and you're like, no, the people that get to move into that part of my business, which by the way, will generate more revenue than just doing what you're doing. Those are people who have longevity. They show me that they've developed, they've gone through the programs, they're committed, they've signed a non-compete, non-solicitation of my existing clients. And for those people who do that and work your book of business up to a certain level, I'll open a new location, I'll make you a partner, I'll put all the money up and you can go launch the next iteration of our business. Because my goal as a CPA is to have 1,000 firms around this country with 10-person teams that are doing all this kind of business for the clients they work with. And it's so much bigger than what we're doing, but you got to put your work in, just like you got to spend 10, 12 years at Ernst & Young if you want to get up to make it potentially to partner. Like that's just the reality of the situation. So it's curating your business strategy, your business methodologies, and having a service offering that's big enough that people can come into it and stay inside of it and do better and earn more every year versus getting bored or feeling like they can do what you're doing. So they're going to move on. And you saw this in all your industries you service.
Very, very well said. I think having an expansive enough product offering and service offering is something that would keep people interested and engaged. The other thing that is the big value in all this, I believe, and I think this will become very apparent to everybody as we roll this out, is the value in the larger 10X brand and network. Everybody wants to be part of that. That's going to have your employees be excited to be part of that larger ecosystem and network. So expanded service offerings are going to be really important to attract, align, retain key people. And then being connected to the larger 10X ecosystem is also, because think about it, if you do that with your employees, you're going to develop them personally, professionally, financially in a way that they just couldn't do on their own if they had the mind to go out and compete against you. And they're not going to find that working for someone else down the street.
How many businesses, when you started at the company that you left, I recruited you away from, when you started there, how much of your business was organic versus how many businesses did you actually acquire and have to integrate into your system?
In terms of growing the company, a lot of it was done by M&A. So it was acquiring this business in Milwaukee and this one in Glendale, California, and this one in Florida, and then integrating them. So you're integrating people and cultures, and it can be done. It takes a lot of money to do that. It takes a lot of time to do that. It would be an interesting twist to instead expand the service offering for a business that you are already great in today. And I'm sure your clients value your opinion and you are in a high trust position with them, and they would love to do more with you. Right now, your offering is just limited. So
here's a question. why did all those businesses all over the country in every market sell to you guys
I'll tell you why.
versus do what you did?
I'll tell you why. They wanted to be part of a bigger vision.
Mm.
Trust me on this. It is not about the exit that they received and the sale. It is because they could do that with anybody. It is always because they want to be part of a bigger vision and a bigger platform. And these are people, Brandon, that had the ultimate choice of where to go. Many that I talked to and was involved in directly, they had bigger potential payday opportunities elsewhere. But they
100%.
saw the opportunity to be part of a bigger platform and a connected business.
Yeah. So Karen, you should be hitting that QR code and lining up for that conversation. How many people
Love
do you
to
have?
talk to you.
How many people do you have in your firm?
Just me plus the other 3.
Yeah. So
Oh,
we
4
got to
tomorrow.
get something. We got to get something bigger happening. But good news, we have so many remarkable CPAs in our group that have been coming through here. They know who they are. They're on here. I know they're going to be talking to us, and we are going to put a national group together, and you'll be able to spend time with like-minded people working on the same programs you're working on, cross-referring to each other, working with each other, going deep with each other, and expanding their businesses together. And that will make the business more fun, more interesting for everyone. They're asking for the QR code to sign up to talk to my buddy here, Sean. Throw that up there. Shoot this QR code. It'll feed it into scheduling an appointment to talk to Sean, and he'll walk you through. We're not allowed to publicly announce what we're doing right now, so Sean is going to do it privately. All right, 3, 2, 1. Pull that QR code down. All right, let's take another question.
I have a follow-up.
Oh.
Question.
Okay, you're going to hog a 10X Owners Live.
Just really quick. So I was thinking like the takeaway from that conversation is I was thinking like the next one I wanted to join is marketing so I can expand my marketing.
Have you been to Finance Essentials yet?
No, not yet.
Yeah, I would come to that because you're thinking you know about finance because you're a CPA, but you don't know about finance in this context of how to create compensation and growth strategies in order to find, attract, align, develop, and retain great people. So you got to learn that the strategic side of finance when building and growing and scaling a business, not the reporting side of finance, which is what you do. Because then you'll understand how to create a massive business. So you need to come put up the QR code for Finance Essentials. Plus, good news. I think it's coming next weekend.
June 4th and 5th.
There you go. Shoot that QR code. The team will talk to you and walk you through it. And then absolutely we can get you into marketing. We can get you there. We've got the accelerator look, there's so many programs. But we need to talk to you about where you're at, where your business is stuck in order to direct you into the best starting program, because ultimately you're going to do all these programs, but where you start is important. So we're looking forward to seeing you at one of these workshops. All right, Dimitri, who's next? All right, let's pop on there you go. Hey, Kenneth, how are you? You got to turn your screen on, Kenneth. Hey, Dimitri, he's got to have his camera on.
Okay, here we
Dimitri,
go.
come on, Dimitri. You know what the rules are. There he is.
Oh, I didn't disappear again. Yeah, quick question. I just had a question regarding the 250 per hit count. I'm trying to figure out when you are below that, is that more indicative of your price is not high enough or your skill set for your employees are not set as high to bring in the value?
Yeah, so I want to make sure this is why Finance Essentials is so critically important, because people hear me talk about this, but what they don't understand is how to impact it and what the implications are and why it's a cause and effect in the business. So increasing your revenue per employee can happen a multitude of ways, but you got to learn the matrix of what all those different ways are so that you can build and score what you're doing and not doing in your business. Because it's not any one thing. It's a combination of multiple things happening simultaneously. So it might be, you may have one employee that's causing a drain that increases revenue per head when you get rid of that person. You may have cash that's not being collected and you're writing it off. That impacts revenue per employee. You may have sales structure that's incorrect, so you're not converting at a higher price point that affects revenue per employee. You may have products that aren't connected products that you're offering that could increase average transaction value per relationship. That will affect revenue per employee. There's so many different configurations of what affects what. So what you need to know, just like my pilots when we took off today, every time they're in the front of the plane, man, check, 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 check. They do it every time. I went up there one day and I'm like, hey guys, we just landed 10 minutes ago. Why do we have to sit here for another 15 minutes that we fueled and we're taking off, or we grabbed lunch? Why do we have to sit here for 15 minutes and go and cycle through this whole thing again? Because we knew this bird was flying when we landed. And they're like, every single time we're going to do it. Go back and eat your food, because that's their job. So when you know what the checklist is and you understand it, well, at Finance Essentials, that's where we deliver that checklist to you.
Okay, and then another quick question: are you doing anything with like investigations? I believe you mentioned cybersecurity, but I think
yes, sir. We're doing, but see, a good investigator would never tell you his secrets. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Hey, no, we have a lot of people in that space coming through our business and working with us. So when you come to one of our events, you just ask us who we can connect you to, because we got a lot of good people in that space, both on the technical side and on the physical side.
On the physical, okay. But yeah, I'm actually doing like due diligence. So we do a lot for law enforcement. We do a lot for private equity in terms of due diligence.
Yeah,
so
good.
Pre-employment screening. Are you guys in that space? Are you doing?
Yeah, yeah. We, of course, man. You think, took me a year to clear his record just so I could hire him. So listen, dude, if you come to one of our events, we'll have this conversation. All right, man.
Very cool.
Let's do it. Good to see you, man. Thank you for your work. All right, let's go. Who's next here? Got to get a couple in before it's Asha. I'm sorry, I can't see it, but he said Asha. Hey, Asha, how are you?
Asha. Hi.
Good, good.
Okay, so I wanted to ask, we watched the boot camp and we also went to 360, and Jeff had said that we have to have a reserve for the business. And so we know that we're actually taking our house, refinancing it to reinvest into the business so we can actually build up that reserve for the business. But then Grant over the weekend said that personal reserve, like, it was kind of confusing on that.
Yeah. So let me help you. This is, people get confused by this because people, we when we're on that stage, we're talking about so many things and we're going so fast and we talk about multiple things kind of simultaneously. So if you go back and you really hear what Grant said, there's 3 rules of investing. The first, you invest in yourself. So before you go and give anybody else money or do anything, buy a single seat on Card on You and train yourself to be the best at it. That's the highest return you're ever going to get on the lowest amount of money you ever spent. Like, it's just over and over and over. Then the second thing is, once you're done investing in yourself, you invest in the thing that generates your income. So if you invest in the business and the business grows, you create more income. Then when you create the income and you follow my algorithm for reserves, which means you now have high confidence that you know how to generate money. Because remember, the top 3 reasons that 97.2% or 3% of all businesses fail in the first 10 years is no demand for product or service, can't hire good people, and can't get money. Well, you're not going to hire good people without getting money, and you're not going to get any money if you can't even yourself prove demand for product or service. So it really is a cop out for ran a shitty business, right? So what you got to do is learn to run a well heeled business. So get the algorithm set. So invest in yourself, then start investing in your business. And then when your business hits its reserves, for example, you could go out and do an acquisition or launch a new location or hire new people or buy a competitor. Or if you're like, I don't need to do any of that and I'm generating so much cash, you can then go invest in things like Cardone Capital and things that generate a passive income while you're creating active income. The fatal mistake people make is they start making their first couple $100,000 and then they're shoving 50 grand a year over to the passive investment, but it's never big enough to actually catch up to what they need. So So for me, I will always I'm outside of Grant, I'm the next largest investor in Cardone Capital. All my passive income just gets shoved into Cardone Capital. I sell one of my houses because Grant's like, you got 5 houses, get rid of them. I sell one of my houses. What do I do when I take the cash out of the house? I go give it to Grant. I sell another house. What do? I go give it to Grant. I sell one of my businesses or one of my mini storages or one of my commercial buildings. That cash comes to me. I don't even touch it. I give it to Grant because I don't need it to live on. I want it working while I'm working for active income. But I've got my business paying me and doing the things I need it to do to invest in all the things I need it to invest in. So my EBITDA, my earnings continue to go up because that's my number one priority. As long as I produce that I can generate money, generate profits, create access cash, my confidence so high that I have no problem investing in third-party stuff that's going to build while I'm building my business. But if you take your money, you finance your house, you don't invest in your business, you put a couple $100,000 away at 5%, it's going to pay you 10 grand a year. Well, if you took the couple $100,000 and hired 3 or 4 or 5 employees and you found out 3 of them were bad, but 2 of them were good, and you built your business to another $1 million, it's going to pay you $400,000 a year.
Okay.
So you want to invest in the things that generate your income. And that's why Finance Essentials is so important. Are you coming to this program?
We wanted to, we couldn't make it, but I believe
Okay.
it's part of one of our programs because we also platform.
Perfect. Yeah, good. That's why we package them in. That's why we do it.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
we're
great
excited
question.
about that, and we are going to actually clear out our portfolio and take that and invest it into Cardone Capital.
Let's go. And if you can do both at the same time, do both at the same time.
Okay, perfect.
All
Also,
right, we're gonna
just so
do
you
one more
know, my
question.
goal is for you to be my financial mentor by the end of
Let's
this year.
go. I love that. I love it. I love it. I love it. I am
Okay.
up to that. Who's next, Dimitri? All right, Brandon, we're going to take you as our last question. You are the lucky guy of the night. Let's go. Anybody named Brandon deserves
Awesome.
the stage.
Let's go, Brandon. There you go.
Let's go.
All right, so here's my question. So in regards to the data regarding the 250K per employee, I know you've been asked about this a few times, but I'm just trying to kind of walk this through. I'm in the mold remediation space and my business isn't particularly that long. I started a new one in October. So if it was based on the number that you're talking about right now, we'd have like 3 to 4 employees. So is there a point where like it starts to apply, or is there stages in regards to this? Like, how does that work out? Because it's a labor intensive business. So that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah. So the way it works is breakpoint 1 is 100,000 to 3 million. So you got to set your targets. If there's 4 employees, you need to target the business to generate $1 million of revenue.
Well, I have a lot more than, well, maybe not a lot, but I'm at like 9 employees right now. So it's a little bit tough,
Okay.
but we're like
9 employees.
months
What's
in.
your revenue? 9 employees. What's your revenue?
900. We'll be at 900 by the end of the year, maybe $1 million.
Okay. So I'm just telling you that statistically speaking, any business that's running $100,000 of revenue per employee can grow thin and wide, but like a spaghetti noodle, when you put weight on either side, what happens with it?
It's going to break.
That's right. So,
Yeah.
so 100,000 is the test. Thin and wide at 100,000, you're going to break the wider you get.
Okay.
Good news is you're generating revenue and you've got 9 employees. Now what you need to do is before you get a 20, you need to figure out how to get your 9 employees to generate 1.8 million, and then see if you can get them to 2.7 million, and then to see if you can get them to 3.8 million, and just keep playing that game until you realize, hey, I've tapped out. So sometimes you got to go wide quick because of the type of business, but then start working the efficiency and effectiveness over the width and see how you can fill that in. And that should be your next challenge. You need to come to the Finance Essentials. You will get 2 days of education that's going to give you a lifetime of not being pissed off at yourself if you make a technical mistake.
Okay, that's great. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, look, everybody, Sean, thank you, buddy.
Thank you, Brandon.
You guys are going to hear a lot from Sean because we're doing some huge things together, and we're bringing our universe closer and closer and closer into building a $10 billion portfolio. working with forward-thinking thought leaders, just like each and every one of you. That's why you're on here on a Tuesday evening. It's why many of you can come over and over and over. Get into our courses. Let us help you. Throw up the Finance Essentials courses. Have a conversation. If you're like, I don't know that that's the right course for me, and I don't know what, shoot that QR code anyway. We've got so many programs going on. We got boot camps coming up. We got workshops coming up. We got marketing. We got sales. We got finance. We got people. We got leadership. If you need it, we got it. If you're uncertain what you need right now, shoot that QR code and talk to the team. They're going to be on standby to help you figure out what is the best thing for you based on your current needs, your budget, and the things that you want to accomplish. So thank you all for joining us on a Tuesday evening, and we will see you at the next 10X Owners Live. The whole purpose of this show is to engage with business owners and be able to answer questions for people that will give them some insight and perspective on how to grow and scale a business. Not only leadership, but real life examples. This is the golden moment. I would do business with you right now.